So, hello and welcome along to another edition of Isolation Interviews for Hospital Radio Reading and for my YouTube channel. And I am super excited to be joined by an amazingly talented actor, singer, dancer. She does it all. I'm, of course, talking about the fantastic Anica Calida. Thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's actually Anika. Sorry, I should have
No,
like
no, that's
clarified
my
that.
apologies. Anika, sorry, no, that's
Yeah,
my
no, I get it. I get it all the time. Don't, no worries. But I'm trying to be more proactive about just like, yeah, getting that out there.
Do you know what? I'm
So
exactly
thank
the
you.
same. I'm very bad, and I completely agree. I think if you're going to get someone's name right, do it, do it properly. So yeah, no, thank you for letting
Yeah,
me know
cool.
about that. Um, let's start off for you. Where did it all begin? Where did the love of acting and performing, where did that all come from for you?
Okay. Well, I would have to say very young. Um, I started dancing at the age of 5. My mom thought it'd be a good idea to put me into ballet and gymnastics, and ballet won out. I was did train at Boston Ballet and quite uh, loved dancing. And I've been performing since I was that young. My first role ever was I was cast as a mouse in the Nutcracker, and I did the Nutcracker. And I don't know if anybody's. I mean, I feel like people will be familiar with the Nutcracker, but in the ballet world, that's pretty a pretty classic um, uh, ballet to do as you're young. So I did the Nutcracker for years. I trained at Boston Ballet up until the age of 13, and yeah, I've been a mouse, a toy general, what they call T, and yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's about it. And I've just been performing ever since. I moved on to a jazz studio called Jeanette Neal in Boston, which is pretty well acclaimed, well established. And I performed there, and that was my introduction to jazz and more modern dancing. And from there on, I got introduced to Alvin Ailey and did a summer program when I was 13 in New York. And that kind of changed my perspective because up until then, I just wanted to do ballet. And yeah, I spent a summer in New York when I was 13, and I trained in ballet, but I also trained in West African and jazz and Graham and Horton and all this like modern dancing. And being exposed to New York, I was like, oh wow, and another aspect of that was just being of color. I was always the token kind of black girl in any setting I was in. So and that's just the nature of going to private school and training at a conservatory like Boston Ballet. There weren't a lot of dancers who looked like me that were doing ballet. So to train at Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater at the Ailey School, to see other dancers who looked like me, and that I got a first glimpse of the first company, and so that kind of set a little fire in me to um, go dance with them. And I don't know how it happened in my life, in terms of my dance training wasn't very streamlined, just due to financial difficulties. It's really expensive to train. I come from a single parent home, and so there were maybe a couple of years where I was not training or dancing, but through the care and just I don't know, the guidance of my dance teacher in school. I went to Newton Country Day School of the Sacred Heart. It's an all-girl school in Massachusetts, Newton, Massachusetts. And Miss Hassinger was like, "There's a program at that point. This was around maybe I graduated in 2001 from high school, and around that time, they were just implementing being able to major in a in dance program to get a dance degree basically, and so that was called BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts in Dance. And that was pretty new for that time. And Alvin Ailey ran a program with Fordham University in New York, and I got in. I got in. It was my first choice. I auditioned for NYU Tisch and Juilliard, and got really close at Juilliard and NYU. I got pretty close to as well. But Alvin, the BFA program, the Ailey Fordham BFA program, that's what it's called, was my first pick. And I was lucky enough and really blessed to be the third class inaugural class. So up until then, there hadn't been a class that graduated yet. So yeah, I trained for 4 years at Fordham University with Alvin with the Ailey School, and that's a really really rigorous program. So if anybody knows about that, that is, and they've I mean, it's been years now, but it was a really hard program, really really hard, really rigorous. Dancing from, ballet was at 10, and you were dancing all day, and then I had classes at night, and but I made it. Especially being 18, starting at 18 in New York, and actually my first week of the first week of college was when 9/11 happened. So there was a lot happening around that time. So yeah, I trained at Alvin Ailey. I keep saying Alvin Ailey, but it's the Ailey School, and then there's the first company, which is the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. And yeah, what did I do from then on? So it's such a long time ago.
I
It
mean,
feels like, but
I was going to say, I mean, obviously over the years, you've had the pleasure of being a part of quite a few big productions, things like The Lion King. You've done
yeah.
Aladdin, you've done Moulin Rouge, doing them both obviously in Australia and the US. I mean, first of all, you must love being in front of a live audience. Is that when you really get to thrive? And I mean, how do the American and the Australian audiences differ?
Well, I was just giving you a background of like my dance kind of self up until that point. I didn't start getting into musical theater until later in life. So I booked The Lion King in Australia when I was 30. When I was 30. So, and that was a real shock to me. I had been auditioning for The Lion King on Broadway and the US national tours since I was in college, but never kind of broke into that there. So I was really stoked to do a Broadway show abroad, and it was not on my cards to even travel to Australia at that point in my life. I had done some touring with the second company of I did Ailey 2 for 2 years, and so I had a taste of touring, and I really love it. I really love it. I love hate it now, but I really loved it. I just, it's such an experience to be able to tour. But to pick up my life and move to Australia for a 2.5 year contract with The Lion King was major, but I did it. And so in terms of like the audiences that differ between America and Australia, I to me an audience is an audience. I feel like here in Australia, people are just really stoked because I guess as I've learned living over here now, that it's just, I guess that it's not like there's not a lot of original Australian productions that happen here, which I find quite sad, and also kind of like, okay, there's just so much room for like original Australian like musical theater content, which I would love to see more of happening. But I do get that American productions are pretty big and bold, and so to get that kind of excitement over here in Australia, where the industry itself in Australia, I feel, is smaller. Just it's just smaller. Auditioning in New York versus auditioning here is like two different things for musical theater anyway. For musical theater and like like live theater, the pool is so much smaller, which is something that I was like, whoa, um, because like the same people do the same shows over here, kind of thing. Um, and so in that respect, the energy from Australian audiences are really they're just excited. I mean, my experience of doing The Lion King, of doing Aladdin, and then being blessed to do Moulin Rouge, it's just the Australian audiences are just like really invested. So that's really cool to see. And having toured now the major cities in Australia now three times, each with well, more than three times, but like with each show, I've done a sit down in Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne. So and between those cities, those are different too. So um, yeah, like I think they're just it's more there's more electricity for me. I think performing in performing here. I haven't now. I haven't done an actual show on Broadway. I've done an off Broadway play. So that's so I don't really know what it would be like to perform to a New York audience in that respect on Broadway, but I have seen a lot of Broadway shows, and um, yeah, it's a performance is a performance, and people, and a good show is a good show, and people, they're either bringing the energy as an audience member or they're not. So, but overall, um, Australian audiences, they dig it. They dig what they're seeing. So it's like so it's really cool. And I'm like I said, I feel really fortunate to have been able to do three major shows in Australia as an American. Yeah, it's been an amazing experience.
I mean, in terms of your sort of like, your sort of stage career, what are the dreams? What would you love to do going forward if the opportunity sort of presented itself? I mean, would you love to do shows sort of in other countries, or would you just love to do more of the same, if that makes sense?
Uh, yeah, it does make sense. To be honest, I've been in a crossroads with performing. Um, I actually stepped away, and I do this periodically, but I stepped away kind of a bit after Moulin Rouge. I took a bit of a break, moved to Byron, and chilled out for a while, and I've been getting more, and this is where I've been getting more into TV and film because it was just becoming it's that lifestyle is a bit hard on the body. It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. That's 8 shows a week, and you live, breathe, and eat the theater. So there's not much room for another life. And me personally, I never really saw myself performing, to be honest, past 30. So, so I feel like I've just fell into performing past a certain whatever cap I had on my performing career. I've been performing past that, and I've just there's this thing about like wanting to feel a little bit more rooted, like just grounded somewhere. I've been living the gypsy life for a long time, so I don't really know what it's like to like have like a place that is like mine that I come back to, and really setting down roots. So that's been up there, and that's why I find myself gravitating more towards TV and film, because you're just in and you are out. You learn your lines, you do the scenes, and then that's it. You do not have to keep them in committed to memory any longer than on the day that that production is rolling. So I quite like that. And financially, it pays a bit better, um, in my experience. And in terms of where I see myself right now, like I said, I'm in transition, and I'm wanting to do. I'm an artist in the worst sense, where it's just like if I could do everything, I would. So and so far I've done pretty much everything that I feel like I've tasted everything. I've done the Vegas thing. I've done the touring thing. You know, I've seen parts of the world that I don't think I'd ever go to um, on my own accord. And I've been recorded, my voice recorded. I've sung a lead. I've been, you know, I've understudied principal roles, so I know what it's like to be like in the spotlight and had the all the attention on myself. And live theater. I've done a straight play off Broadway. So I've just, and now I'm, you know, I'm dipping in and being able to do Neighbours um, has been really cool, because not only have I, you know, really got a good, um, I just was able to like practice the craft of acting for a bit, you know, like, you know, I'm a guest starring role, and I got a pretty meaty storyline there. You know, they didn't, like, every time I go back, I joke, I'm like, well, I'm still here. They didn't kill me off yet. So, you know, in the soap opera world, and I don't think anyone's ever really dead in the soap opera world. They have some way of bringing somebody back. So, so that's been such a cool experience to practice and to, yeah, experiencing that medium. At this moment, if I had it my way, I would love to, one, if I could do the block, I would. I'm like obsessed with the block. I don't know if you know what the block is, but it's a renovation TV show here in Australia. And it's opening the doors in terms of, like, I've been thinking about getting my real estate license because that would be really cool for me. And I love property and renovations. I don't know where those dreams will like take me. But I definitely, I always love performing. I'm always like, oh, maybe I could do one more show. I don't know what show that would be, but maybe I could do one more show. Maybe I've got it in me. Um, so yeah, I don't think it'll ever stop until it just, I find myself kind of like not doing it anymore, and then it's like, okay, I'm good, and where I'm at, I feel really content with my career and what's happened. So I'm no longer in that really like hustle mentality, if that makes sense. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not really, not out, I'm not chasing anything. I'm not after anything. There's nothing that I feel like, oh, I would love to do that. I'm just like, I'm super content with, you know, if something comes along my way, um, and I'm a yes to it, I'm a yes to it. And I love that I'm in that place too as an artist, to be like, you know, like, that's not really my cup of tea. I've turned down plenty of things now. So, because I just, you know, I'm at that point in my life where I'm like, if I just don't want to do things for the sake of doing things, and there's a time to do that, and I'm now well into that time of just, yeah, being choosy about what I want to be a part of. And yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, no,
that's where I've been at right
definitely.
now.
Now we have to talk about Neighbours, of course. I mean, you know, I've interviewed a lot of your sort of fellow co-stars from the show, and it's such
Mm,
a. I mean, here in the UK, it's such a popular show. People love it.
I
Um,
know.
I mean, for you, when you first of all, when you sort of became involved, did you know the sort of you know how popular it was here in the UK? And also, how did you become involved? Was it just an audition process? How did that sort of come about for you?
So one, I did not know how popular it was in the UK. I was quite shocked. I was like, what? I was like, how is it so popular over there? Anyways, so that was quite interesting. And last year, my agent, I was actually about to leave for a retreat in Hawaii. I was going to, you know, have this whole U.S. trip planned out to go visit my fam back in Boston and some peeps in LA. And my agent called. It was like, listen, I've got an audition for Neighbours. It's and it was a second audition that I've done for Neighbours. I actually went for what's um, uh, the same sex couple that is on Neighbours at the moment.
Oh, Karen
Anyways,
and
I
Remy.
went for an, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I went for actually Remy, Remy, and I remember auditioning for that, so I didn't get it, and then I was like, okay, that's fine, it's cool. So to have Neighbors pop up again, I was like, oh, okay, well, let's see here. And it was for this character Tess Carmichael, and she has an American accent. So I was just like, oh, that's fabulous. Like it's just because the Australian accent is it's not easy. So that was like a tick. And I put down a self tape literally the day before I was going to fly out. And I'm at this retreat, and it was it's part of it was I couldn't be on my phone. So and um, for whatever reason, I was able to check my phone, and as the universe Murphy's law like works out, I had booked the role. I booked the role, and I found out later that week that I booked the role, and that if I could fly back early, which was really like no, because I want to spend time with my family. Um, but the the team at Neighbors, the producers were super understanding of like what was happening with my life at that moment and how important it was for me to be with family. So they made the dates work, and I did have to cut my trip back short to come back to Australia to film the inaugural scenes of Tess Carmichael, but it was worth it. It was a really great experience, and had a lot of fun. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm on like a TV set. And it was just for me. It was not my first experience. I did book a role on La Brea, just a bit role with just some decent lines, but it was an actual like substantial role. So I had a little bit of an experience being on a TV set, but this was like kind of like I was like ooh in it, like filming a few episodes. And then so that happened, and then I moved to Byron, and then I get a call, and I think it was August, being like, I'd like to have you back to film next year. So this year. So that call was last year. And so I was just like, whoa, that's really, really cool. Okay. And they had written a substantial, uh, yeah, what do you call it? Just a storyline for me, for Tess. And so that was amazing. And so that filming happened earlier this year, and then just watched back what they have edited together, and that was an amazing experience again. So um I just think it's pretty cool that I did a soap opera. I grew up on soap operas. I grew up on um One Life to Live and Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, some classic American soap operas, like Susan Lucci is the queen of soap operas. So it's just kind of really cool to do a soap opera one, and do an iconic soap opera um, here in Australia. So I feel really honored to to even to be a part of Neighbours,
And I mean,
whatever Neighbours legacy.
I was going to say you've got to work with some amazing people. I mean, obviously in your first sort of stint, you got to work with Misha Barton. Obviously the cast and crew
Yeah.
of Neighbours are just fantastic. Um, at the point that you left the sort of the first time, did you have any idea that they would ask you back, or was that a complete surprise when they asked you back for the Outback stuff?
Complete surprise. Actually, the Outback stuff was even a further surprise. When I arrived, I wasn't even told I was a part of this whole Outback thing. So I was just I arrived, and it was like maybe like a first or second day on set, and one of the actors is just like, oh, so I was like, you coming to the Outback? And when I heard that, I thought it was just on location somewhere around the studio lot, like in Melbourne. And like, no, we're actually going to the Outback, like Parachilna, South Australia, Adelaide. I was like, what? So that was totally not on my radar. Um, that was a complete surprise. And even being asked back last year to do this storyline that just aired, that was a complete surprise as well. It was a really pleasant surprise, because I was, like I said, I was in a place where I was just like ready to just step away from the industry altogether. I was just like burnt out. I was like, nah, that's it. I think that's it. My performing career is done. I'll probably, if I can book some TV roles here and there, that's fine. But I'm pretty happy just living by the beach and chilling out. So, yeah, everything has been a complete surprise. um, for me. And yeah, so
Do you,
yeah.
do you, do you think if they were to ask you back again, would you go back again? If yet another storyline came up for Tess?
um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know how much I can say, but yeah, I have been back. They did ask me back, so there is a little bit of a storyline that's coming up, I think.
Exciting.
But yeah, I know that it's exciting. Um, so that they have yeah, they've left Tess's character open,
Which is
which
the
is
best, which is
amazing.
the best kind of character, really, that you can keep popping back and doing a little
Oh,
bit more. I mean, I imagine you must love the fact that you can sort of go back and you don't have to be there all the time, but you have that option to go back.
yeah, no, it's amazing. But like I said, it's just like, if I had the way that it's working out, that it's working out the way that I had imagined. I kind of like dip my toe in, come, do a couple of scenes, and I'm out of there, kind of thing. And I'm open if they wanted to add me to Ramsey Street as a regular. That would be really cool. But
I know the
you know,
fans would
um,
love that. I know the
I'm
fans would love that.
Oh, really? I don't know. I feel like I'm just like I can't get a gauge of like whether or not people are like feeling Tess or they're just like, what is she doing there? But uh, yeah, like that would be really cool. But like I said, they've kept Tess's storyline pretty open, and yeah, so we'll see if they're wanting to bring me back as a baddie again or a goodie, being tempted to be a baddie. I don't know, but yeah, it's really cool.
Now, I mean, a few weeks back, I had the pleasure of interviewing Ethan, who obviously played Heath, and you got to work, a lot with him in this last
Mm.
run. He said you were very helpful when it came to his accent, because obviously he's Australian, but he had to put on an American accent. Did you find sort of helping him? Was that quite a sort of a helpful, a nice thing to do? Did you quite enjoy sort of giving him a bit of help with his accent?
Yeah, at times I was like, I don't know if I'm actually being helpful because I've been in Australia for so long. So my own accent, sometimes I like feel it's a bit warped, but his accent was great. I didn't, there were only a few words there that I could see that I was just like, oh yeah, no, we wouldn't say that. We would say this, and we would say it like this, or like that. So little things here and there, but he had that accent down pretty. Yeah, it's pretty convincing to me. Like I was just like, it was impressive.
I was
So I don't mind. I don't mind it. I didn't mind it at all. Like we're there to help each other. Bring out the best in each other. So it's like if I can do that, that's cool.
So yeah, so obviously working with Ethan must have been quite a lot of fun. And I mean, I when I was speaking to him, he actually said that he would love to come back. Although we did see him perish, as it were, he would love to come back out of the water in some crocodile boots. Would you love to sort of have the both of them back together?
I mean, yeah, it's storyline, I guess. But I at this point, I don't know if Tess is really would be keen. Probably be really pissed at because not didn't treat her right. So, but yeah, it would be totally fun to prize that that relationship and see if there's anything to redeem there, or I don't know how that would work out, but that would definitely be fun.
I mean, I say it was a great partnership, and I mean, I especially think that I mean the audience loved the kind of the chemistry between the two characters. So yeah, I think it'd be great if we saw more of the two of them going forward, but we'll just obviously have to wait and see. I mean, for you, what else have you got sort of on the horizon, sort of away from Neighbours? What else can people sort of see from yourself going forward?
Well, at the moment, not a lot. I do have one project, but I did just sign an NDA, so I'm not allowed to say anything about it. So I have to watch my Instagram space when I'm able to just post that. Um, but I'm just right now things are a bit slow, I guess, as they say, in the worried a little bit, so I haven't really been auditioning for a lot of things, a lot of roles or projects that have been coming up. Um, there isn't a musical that has come up that I'm keen to really be a part of. Or yeah, I'm kind of chilling out. So there's not things aren't really like hot like that. Like I said, I'm kind of in transition and thinking about other things, and not to say that performing is on the back burner, but I'm restructuring my life in terms of finding other things that I'm passionate about and seeing what would that look like to meld those two worlds together, because I've been a performer for so long and it's been my life and my identity, and I'm just at a point in my life where it's just like I'd like to try on another life, um, and seeing if I can do both, which I'm pretty ambitious, so I probably will do both. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, as we speak, I am learning lines for a role on a TV show. So yeah, I can't really say what it is
People just need to
just
keep their
yet.
eyes
But
peeled. We've got to keep an eye out for that one.
just keep your eyes peeled for that. So that I'm not quite sure when that will air, but I'm currently working on that, and I'll be shooting that soon. And other than that, I'm living a little bit of a muggle life, just kind of like got my work, and just seeing really what's next. I don't know what's next, but I'm staying pretty open to everything, because I find that when I am open to life and not too tight, um, I'm pleasantly surprised, like Neighbours, like Neighbours. So I don't know what's gonna pop up into my pathway, and I don't know where that's leading, but I'm just happily just following the breadcrumbs and just yeah, having fun. I'm trying to. Not
Now, I
saying
just
I'm
want to say
doing
it's been an
great.
absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for giving up your time to join me on the show. I mean, I just want to say, of course, you're welcome back anytime. Thank you for being such a great guest. And I mean, yeah, well, just keep safe. Thank you for your time.
Oh, amazing. Thanks for interviewing me and creating a safe space to do so. And yeah, I look forward to seeing how this all turns out. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I think it's really cool.